Okay, I will be continuing on from the previous video. So to recap, these are the two phrases that we are looking at. There might be a few differences, but it's roughly the same. So in the previous video, we've covered sevenths and ninths as well as inversions. Now let's talk about chord substitutions. The idea is that we can substitute one or more of the chords in the bass chord with another similar chord to achieve more variety and sometimes evoke different feelings. This is very frequently employed in Mando pop music. For this particular chord progression that I'm using, there are many possible substitutions, and for now I will only go through 3 of them that I have used in the example. So first of all, the 5-7 chord, which is the 5-7 third inversion chord in the second phrase, can be substituted with a diminished chord by raising the A note up a semitone to B flat. So this chord is actually a G diminished 7 chord, or a 2 diminished 7 first inversion chord. Next, the 6th chord, 6-7 chord, can be substituted instead with a minor chord 1 first inversion. So this is a D minor first inversion chord with an F natural. The presence of the F natural makes this chord really stand out. And finally, the chord 1 at the end of the first phrase can be changed to a 1-7 chord with a C natural. So the normal chord would be a D major chord, and now with a 1-7 with a C natural we get. And this leads back to chord 4 for the second phrase, the G chord. This is called tonicization, whereby we briefly change key and we have chord 1-7, which is the dominant 7th of chord 4. The C natural makes it sound nicer. So if we put all of these together, then this is what we have currently for the first 2 phrases. Now let's move on to an idea which I termed connecting the bass notes. The bass notes can sometimes be connected by inserting what we call passing notes in between, so that the bass moves in steps. So in the example, I used this idea between the 1 chord at the end of the first phrase and the 4 chord at the start of the second phrase. The bass notes D and G are a fourth apart, and we can connect them by inserting 2 diatonic notes, E and F sharp, in between. So we get D, E, F sharp, G. I feel that doing so gives more flow to the music. And so when we do this in this particular example, we can actually modify the chords slightly. First we have a normal chord 1, and then on the E we have a flat 7-9 first inversion, which is actually the 4-9 first inversion in the key of G, since we are tonicizing on G. And then on the F sharp we have 1-7 first inversion with a C natural, as mentioned previously. And finally going back to chord 4 on G. So we have with this, the link between the 2 phrases sounds much better. Finally, let's talk about suspensions. In my opinion, suspensions are an extremely integral part of music. A suspension is when we delay the sounding of notes in the chord and instead precede them by a note that is 1 step higher. Let's illustrate this with a D chord. We can have a 4-3 suspension, referring to the 4th, which is G, resolving to the 3rd, the F sharp. So we have, notice that the bass notes are in the D chord, and only the higher voices demonstrate the suspension. We can also have a 6-5 suspension whereby with the B, the 6th goes to A, the 5th. So I've played this together on top of the 4-3 suspension. We can also have the 9-8 suspension whereby the 8 refers to the root, which in this case is D. The 9 refers to the note one step above, which is E. So the 9-8 suspension together with the 4-3 suspension sounds like this. The suspension can be very widely used. For example, we could even apply it to every other chord in our example. In particular, I find that suspensions on the last chords of phrases are especially important because it delays the musical resolution and gives it a nice touch. So putting everything together, we have something that sounds like this. That's all for this video. In the next video, we will talk about how to interpolate all these ideas into something that's more pianistic.